Welcome to Have a Chat. Thank you for tuning in with myself, your host for today's show, Judy Losier, and my vibrant, lovely co-hosts, Veronique Arsenault and Audrey Lynch. Welcome, girls.
Good afternoon, ladies.
Yes. It's been a week, I think, that we had all other things to do, so we weren't able to do the show last week. We're all here, there, and everywhere, but we're back. What's transpired since we were last on the air? Starting with you, Veronique. New and exciting.
Oh, things have been busy, and I think we're all kind of in that mode right now, trying to figure out how in the heck we got to be in December. I don't know.
No.
Like, it just seems to me like it was just August yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure how that all happened. I know, big difference between August and December, I know, but I'm not quite sure how we ended up here. But yeah, so it's just been, really getting the house ready for the holiday season with I've got friends who celebrate Hanukkah. I've got friends, and we celebrate Christmas as a family, and all of those things that have been happening. And then things have been a little crazy, I find.
Yeah, hectic time. Audrey, how have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I've been very busy with I have the salon all up and running, decorated and everything as far as the holiday season goes. The salon is booked pretty solid until January there now. So, and we have a potential new employee looking. She just graduated, so she will hopefully be joining our team very soon. So that's exciting. And my daughter's booked her flight to come home from Spain. She's coming into her last 3 weeks, believe it or not. She's been there since September. So she's got some exam things coming back, and I just want to give a big shout out to her. She scored 95 on the last 2 exams that she did.
What?
And she just did a big presentation. She sent me the big PowerPoint for it, and she did it on the missing and murdered Indigenous women in Canada.
Heavy.
And I am very, very excited to find out how well she did with that presentation. From what I can see, what she sent me, it was very powerful and very informative. The question she had to me is, how come we weren't taught this in high school, is her question. And I'm like, I know, right? Like, because we're taught a lot of Canadian history, but that appears to not be on the list of, credentials as far as knowing.
Right.
So, and then to dig through, and then now just starting to dig through things here at home and try and dig out Christmas decorations here and get myself organized. And then working.
I know. I find there's not enough hours in the day. I just think I have to try to pace myself. That's all I can do. We can run ourselves right into the ground.
True.
But if you don't catch your breath and try to do a few things here and then take a break and a few things there, you'll just get yourself bent out of shape and unhealthy for the Christmas season. So it was snowy today and I took my dogs. Well, one of my dogs is going to be 11 in April and she's slowing down a lot and my heart goes out to her. So her hip is very arthritic. And so I find in my husband, it's hard to get her even up the stairs without helping her. I mean, she's healthy in most every other way, but she has a bad hip. So she's aging but we like to get her out to keep her moving. And I took her for a little walk and I took the other big one out and I just ran her around the field to get that energy off. She's a big sheepadoodle. And so just for me to get fresh air and bundle up warm and get out of the house, which can walk away on you at times. I mean, there's always the laundry and always the things to do that you just need to find time. And a woman said to me, how do you make time for yourself? I said, you have to try and think about how, even if you have a friend come over and watch your child for an hour while you go for a coffee, go for a walk, maybe your mom can come in and let you go to a movie with a friend, whatever, but you do have to start looking after you as a person because you have to be there in so many and wearing so many hats in the run of a day. But now we're back to, as usual, we don't want to talk about it, but it's getting pretty heated up, the amount of COVID that's in our direct area, Miramichi, Zone 7. I've heard from a good source that we are third highest in cases per capita in Canada. I mean, I know we're a small population, but we have 3 schools closed currently with an outbreak, and we just have to be so much more guarded now that it's really a big problem in our city. Any thoughts, Veronique, on this?
Yeah, I think what's happening, and I think it's happening all over the world really, is that COVID fatigue, right? Everybody is tired of talking about it, navigating it, navigating the rules, trying to understand the rules as they change, because of course everything is evolving. The rules have to change and the guidelines have to change. But I think I mean, I know for myself, it's real COVID fatigue. I like just hearing the word just makes me cringe now, and I'm like, oh, I'm just done. And it's hard, right? Because mom had surgery last week, and so everything revolves around making sure that mom's okay for me, and making sure that I'm taking care of myself as much as I can, and that I've got hand sanitizer in every cup holder and pocket and purse, and and the mask is on constantly now, where I wasn't wearing it as much. So I mean, it's scary, absolutely. But here we are, and right now it seems to be children that it's traveling through most often right now. So I don't know. I find it all terrifying, but also so exhausting.
I find it terrifying because my friend's little girl had COVID. She was due to get her vaccination, and just before she got it, got extremely sick, like vomiting and high fever, and really a scary situation of a very healthy child getting this COVID, like not a problem in the world, but picked up the COVID. And I mean, we're talking about really ill. So we just have to do our best. And I think, like, I was thinking about it in bed last night, thinking, if we ever get to go back to normal, I'm going to just do whatever I can, travel as often as I can, have as many people in my house, and go out as much as I can and live it up, because this has been a long haul. And I find I don't even know how people suffering from poor mental health, depression, anxiety, all of the above, are even coping with this. I hope and I encourage people to reach out. Don't sit home alone and worry yourselves into the ground, because it's not going to change anything. Worrying is not going to change anything, but being alone and being down could get you even more down if you don't talk to somebody about it. So please pick up the phone. And if you're listening and you know someone that's out there home alone, check on them. Ask them if they're okay, and just keep the conversation going about things can only get better, we hope. Audrey, how you doing? You're busy with work and busy with your family, trying to just get it all done as well.
Yes, definitely. Well, with my work, unlike some other businesses that are just retail, we have clients who come in and sit down and want to escape the crazy, and just be able to relax in that moment. But it is all the talk. And for me personally, as the stylist, to have a number of clients coming in through the day, and that's what they want to talk about and get off their chest. So I'm the listener. And, so it can get very heavy come the end of the day for me when I go home, and to my family and things like that, just to be able to, I just want to watch something uplifting. I want to watch something funny. I want to sit down and have a good meal. I find that I am being very, very diligent in, just not going out if I don't have to. I go to work, I come home, I get my groceries. I'm not doing, I'm finding I'm doing a lot of online shopping, because it's time to be out shopping and looking around and stuff for the holiday season. And I just feel like reducing, unwanted, mulling around and things like that, especially if you're someone who's not going to use the sanitizer and you're not necessarily wearing your mask the proper way and things like that. Because there is people who are vaccinated and unvaccinated still among the population, and you still need to follow those rules to help reduce the risk. So the fatigue of it all is definitely very, very draining, and it is more of a challenge to stay positive. But at the end of the day, and first thing in the morning, I think is key, not to get sucked into that with social media, like not to be watching the news just before you go to bed, or jump right onto the social media and find out who and this. You can't do that. You're sacrificing your self-care and yourself, to be able to get through the day yourself. So it's very important.
I do agree. And the Omicron newest variant, we won't get into that today, but just that we'll know more. We'll know more in the next few days, the next few weeks, as to what the researchers and scientists are finding more about on it. And I will be tuned into that, because apparently at this point they're saying it can be very much more serious, the effects. And so let's just hope and pray that us that are vaccinated, like my husband said, at least we have some protection in our system against it. It may not stop it, but at least we'll have some ammunition inside of our bodies if we do contract it. So Christmas is not far off, and that will be our conversation for sure in the next upcoming weeks. But are you even in the spirit at all? I hear music all day long. If I hear Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer one more time when I'm trying to do my groceries and laundry and
where
and
are you
crap at home.
going? Where are you going? I haven't heard any yet.
What? No, on the radio
Well,
stations.
I play it in the house. Okay.
Yeah, from morning until night, it's Christmas music, and it's only early December. So I'm thinking I'm going to be so fatigued from these Jingle Bells and Rudolph songs by the time Christmas comes that maybe I'll start doing something else. But it does kind of put you in the spirit, although we're just now getting a bit of snow. And I do have some gifts bought, and I do have some decorations done, but things are in a mess. I have gifts here and gifts there and paper here and paper there, and certain things to do and certain things that I know I'm happy with. But what about you guys? Are you in the spirit?
No.
A hard no. Moving right along.
Hard no.
Hard no.
No, you know what? Listen, I worked retail for many, many years. And so Christmas was just like all consuming, you know?
Yeah.
But I will say this. So mom and one of her sisters are going to decorate the house this week. So that's going to be great. I don't like to decorate. It's not a thing for me. So I'm really glad that they're going to do that. But I will say this year I'm feeling a little bit more excited maybe about Christmas, and and I don't know why, but I don't know if it's because like there's just been so much going on over the last couple of years that it's just that feeling of something joyful is coming. But no, I'm not ready. I haven't bought anything. I don't know what I'm going to buy anybody, and the house, isn't decorated yet. So yeah, no, I'm a hard no on that one.
But at least you're in your new home for the first Christmas, and that in itself is exciting. It'll all come together very neat. Audrey, I guess you're so busy with work and children and still driving and carpooling some of them that like you said, you want to get home and relax, but how do you get it all done?
Yeah.
You're doing some online shopping. When do you get into your decorating? When do you start getting into your actual putting things around?
Exactly. I still have a 17-year-old at home who loves a holiday of any kind, and has been asking me. We actually switched to artificial trees so that she could have it put up sooner. But I had told her I had gone to work on Friday, and I said, get down in the basement, dig out the stuff, and we'll start doing it. But in order to do that, I'm like, okay, somebody put the Christmas music on. We put some gingerbread cookies in the oven. I have to have it all happening, and the smell and in order to be able to be in the mood to do it. I can't just, throw it together.
Yeah, no,
so it's a start. I'm not finished, but I started.
Yeah, I always find putting people are allergic to them, a lot of the time, but I find candles, like winter scented candles, actually are one of the things that makes me have the feel for it, and just the winter green and anything like that that makes me think, because I don't have a real tree either. I used to, and I think as I get older, I was almost allergic to it, like itchy skin and everything from the actual tree. So we've gone artificial too, and that gives you the, you don't have to clean up such a mess all the time either. But when do you actually, Veronique, when is it actually feeling like Christmas is happening to you? Is it 2 weeks before, normally the week before? What does say to you now it's time for Christmas celebration, which is all about Christ's birth, obviously?
Yeah. For me, it's the week before. It's about snuggling in at night, watching movies, kind of slowing down right before Christmas, spending time with family. that to me is when it feels like Christmas. That's the part that I get really excited about. We typically have
Okay.
Christmas Eve, Uncle Michael, not last year, but all of the years before that had, all of us over Christmas Eve. And
Yeah.
so that it's that week right before where I feel like, oh yeah, okay, here we are.
Okay, because some people are right at it after Remembrance Day. They're in the groove. They're getting their stuff up, their lights on, everything's lit up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm not even gonna look out the window right now. Audrey, are you a 2 week before Christmas Eve kind of girl where it's just, oh, this is beautiful and magical? When's it happen for you?
Yeah. Well, for me, I find that first snowfall that we have, that it comes and it
Hmm.
stays and everything's really nice and white, and you can drive
Yeah.
around and you start seeing people's lights on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I'd have to say I'm more at the 2 week mark. I'm buying things even in the grocery store to do my few baking things that I do, and getting
Hmm.
organized as far as, doing your little family visits and going here and wrapping presents, and so that it's not so overwhelming doing it all on Christmas Eve. But
Yeah.
those little things is what I like, that help, get that
Hmm.
Christmas spirit, and listening to like some of those Christmas songs that relate more
Yes.
to the birth of Christ actually
Right.
really, really give me a sense of peace. My
Hmm.
daughter recently
Hmm.
sang in church a few months ago, and it was a Christmas tune, and she wasn't sure
Hmm.
that, she should sing it that time of year, but Pastor John Stewart he said, I play that song on the radio all the time. It doesn't
Oh.
matter. So she sang "Mary, Did You Know?" and those
Oh.
kinds of things really, really help to, really understand the joy of Christmas and why we're actually doing it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Exactly why we're actually doing it. People are so caught up in just their decorations,
Hmm.
their gifts, and it's interesting that you should bake
Yeah.
because I don't. I do once in a while, but I don't enjoy baking. So I have actually reached out to people that are actually baking and taking orders on different things and
Hmm.
trays of sweets, and so I can. That would even be a nice gift for somebody to be able to deliver those
That's
sweets
right.
and enjoy them myself without all the labor amongst all the other things I have to do and can't get time to find. But good for you on the baking, Audrey. I don't want anyone to go away. We're having a great chat today with a couple of guests coming right up. And we're so excited to welcome somebody that's not been on, that I don't think he's been on our show. It's been 8 years since we're doing this, so perhaps you were. But welcome to the very wonderful and talented Fang Ho He. I don't think I've said that right, but he's a stand-up comedian on the road, traveling, and welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
And you give us a really good pronunciation of your name so the guests know exactly who they're tuned in to listen to today.
Fang Zhou He.
Okay, I wasn't too bad. You can make fun of me because you are a comedian.
Hmm.
First things
I
first,
will.
thanks for popping up in the middle of your tour on the road. Tell us a little bit about yourself, just so the viewers know a bit about your background.
So I studied math at University of Waterloo for 4 years, and that's where I first came to Canada as a student. And then I figured, comedy is my passion. Plus, I found out there's no comedian from China in the entire country, so that's a very
Oh,
unique opportunity for me.
it certainly is. Do you come from a large family, siblings? Are you an only child? Tell us a little bit about you.
Just, I'm the only child, and I always
Uh,
wish I had a sibling.
ah, that's so cool. Veronique's an only child.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
which
it's
makes
okay to
my
be. It's good.
It's good now that you're older, right, Vero?
Yeah, I'm good now being an only child, and probably the same as you when you were younger. You probably wanted some siblings, but for me, yeah, now I'm great. I'm like, yeah, I'm giddy up. I'm an only child. I'm good.
Right, right. So thank you for telling us a bit about yourself.
So, comedy is such a specific skill, and it's not one that I have. Absolutely. I know that for a fact. But I'm wondering, like, when did you decide that you were going to pursue stand-up comedy, like, as a thing that you're doing often?
Awesome, awesome question. It was about 3 months before I graduated from Waterloo.
Oh.
Okay. And you just one day decided that you were about to graduate after 4 years of taking math as your primary goal in life, and then you just decided one night that what prompted you to make that decision?
So I've been always motivated by Bill Gates, who started Microsoft when nobody was doing that. So I really took the opportunity as the first priority. And if I see an opportunity, especially is like very unique opportunities, probably once in I don't know 20, 30 years, then I'll go for it.
But were you funny as a kid? Like, were you one of the class clowns, or like making your parents laugh, or known as the ha-ha guy growing up?
Not at all, because I really, because I don't sound funny in a daily life. I just uh, and if you
I
meet
was
me in
just
person, you will never think.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'm assuming that throughout your years of being at university, that potentially maybe on the weekends with your friends, going out and socializing, that, they were all telling you, oh my goodness, you're so funny. You should be doing stand-up comedian kind of work. When would you say you got your first big break?
Uh, I would say 2017 when I first got on the CBC Radio One. They were very interested in my transition from a mathematician to a comedian. That was in Ottawa, 2017.
And did you perform at,
Yeah.
so you did that through the radio, so it was just sound, or was it an actual show, like in
So
person?
I was performing at a comedy club called Yak Yaks in Ottawa, and the
Oh,
Yeah.
CBC
really?
interviewed me for my journey.
It's so interesting. It's a really tough gig too. I mean, sometimes I think I'm funny and some other people do, and sometimes they're like, what are you talking about? It's not even funny. Only you find it funny. So yeah, it's a really interesting career you have chosen. You're awesome, obviously doing very well at it. Talk to us about your Love and Laughter comedy tour, and as the founder, how that all unfolded for you.
Thank you for the question. So during the COVID, I saw a lot of people suffer and the family, fall apart. And my show has always been very community oriented. I've been on the road all the time, and there's always community that support me. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I should turn my comedy from a pure business side to like combining with a charity side. So right now,
Oh,
for almost all the show I do, I try to support a local family or local little charity who doesn't have access to the big public fund.
that's
Beautiful.
wonderful. So it's a win-win. I mean, it's a win-win-win. It's a win for you, it's a win for the audience, and it's a win for the charity cause that you're supporting. So that's that's amazing all around. Thank you for doing that.
While my time
I
in maritime, I also do the same.
Hmm.
Oh, great. Yeah. I've actually been to the Yek Club in Ottawa. It's quite the little venue there. So
Yes.
I can just picture you on stage there. But you've had the
Uh,
opportunity to travel all over the country, and you've toured some other parts of the world and everything. Like, what's that been like for you? Do you have a favorite place that you've been? Is there a favorite comedy club that you've performed at?
I just came from Yukon. I gotta say, Yukon has been my top of the list. Very different,
Whitehorse?
unique place. Whitehorse, I went to
Whitehorse?
Dawson City.
Dawson
Oh yes,
City.
right.
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh my
Was
goodness.
it cold? Was it freezing up there?
I was traveling there when it was not bad, so it was fine. But I
Okay.
heard it could be really bad.
Yeah, I know.
Definitely. Now I
That's
hear that you're
amazing.
Yeah, I hear that you're referred to as the hitchhiking comedian. Now, explain to me, why is that? Why did you get that nickname? How did that come about?
So maybe in my second year of career, I started getting on the road, and back then I didn't have a car, so I was relying on the Greyhound. But when the Greyhound came, went out of business, I could to not get anywhere other than the only way was to hitchhike. So I did that for 2 years, from 2019 to 2020, hitchhike across the country and do comedy to the community that no public transportation will ever go.
Wow. You are one
Wow.
interesting man, Fangyo. Like very, very interesting character for sure. Talented and brave. I have to say the word brave.
I hitchhiked through New Brunswick actually quite a few times.
Yeah?
Oh,
Took you about an hour, did it? To get from anything.
I was just pointing out to my colleagues.
I will say, back in the day, now it's been some years because I'm an old lady now, but back in the day, in my young years, I may have hitchhiked once or twice here in New Brunswick.
I don't think I ever have. My parents,
it's not a great idea.
No, not in this day and age, but like, no. So there obviously is a lot of pressure when you're going from city to city and stage to stage and different crowds at every different venue. How do you prepare for your show? Where do you get your material and your inspiration from? Does it just come naturally, or does something spur you off when you're driving? You think, I'm going to turn that into something funny and make it a show. How does it all, one thing lead to another?
I usually stay with local family, so I get into town several days before the show, and I talk to them, chat with them. Almost like by the time I do a show, I already live like as if I lived there for 5 years, right? Live like a local, perform like local. So as I said in my tour, it's always has been community oriented. So I make a lot of friends wherever I go before the show.
So if you stayed with me for a week, you could make fun of my cooking and my housekeeping and my everything that I do. That is something you could make a joke about.
Probably.
Right? That would make me really nervous. I would be right on the top of my game like Martha Stewart. I'd have my menu planned, the house all tippity top. You wouldn't have anything to pick on me about. But so that's where your ideas are derived from, talking around the table from different characters that you live with.
Across the country, like just my traveling tour in general.
Do you find New Brunswickers are good material? Like we say, and and how's she going? What do you think? Do you make fun of us like that?
I was just performing with a comedian from Halifax, not quite New Brunswick, but like I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
The R is very, very strong. Bar, car.
That's right.
Right now. Let's go out right now. So, okay. So I won't invite you to my house anytime too soon, but it's been nice talking to you on the screen.
But we've talked so much about COVID in the last 2 years, obviously, because that's what we're all living. And given what you do for a living, how hard has it been for you to navigate COVID, and what effect did that have on your tour, and really even people wanting you to come stay with them?
So it's been very tough, and I gotta say, unlike a lot of comedians who avoid the traveling, I took a lot of risk. I went to a lot of even the COVID hot zone. I went to the Kootenay, BC, where there's cases is blowing. I would say it's been very difficult, and I just feel like if I don't do it, then my passion will die. So I took a lot of risk.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
the moment I
Well,
left
the internet.
the moment I left Yukon, they declared the state emergency. So
Oh my goodness.
Oh wow.
Yeah, definitely. I think for a lot of entertainers, you are amazing to be able to, hold your ground and to be able to use the internet to still be able to fuel your passion and to be able to entertain those. And a little bit, you touched the pandemic is hard on everybody across the board with, you know, the mental state of everybody trying to deal with this, and having those comedians out there and still putting some shows out there and still giving us a chance to laugh at something, you know, because, you know, things can get pretty heavy. I commend you for, you know, trying to stick it out and holding your guns as far as that goes. Feng Zhou, can you tell me, in your opinion, what are some of the most successful shows that you've done yourself that you would consider successful? And is there any that you consider to be a total flop?
Yeah, so I did several shows before I moved to the sort of East Coast. I did some fundraising show in BC for family that, you know, have family members recently diagnosed with cancer, and you know, I did some shows for them, and not only like we help them raise a little bit fund, but also we encourage them to be positive, to see the hope. That's definitely one of my highlights in the whole comedy career. And I would say uh, bad shows happen almost on a weekly basis, because you know I do a lot of small town, and people don't usually get a lot of like comedy show, and they don't know how to react, and almost want to be part of the show.
Okay. So I guess that was kind of my question was I've been, you know, entertaining on stage, whether it be theater or just, you know, like some kind of an event that I host, and it has to be the right vibe to get you in the on mode. You can get the really flat audiences or the really energized crowd. Do you find you're able to, like, what happens when they're flat and they're just not getting it? What, do you just keep rolling with it? Or is that when you haul people of the audience and kind of use them as a target? Do you get more flat than energized?
You know, sometimes, Judy, even if like when I fly, I try my best to do some crowd work to interact, still they wouldn't respond. If that's the case, I would have just end on a very respectful note. You know, I'd be like, you know, guys, I'm here to entertain you guys. I try my best, but you know, it doesn't seems like you enjoy the show, so thank you anyway for supporting comedy. You know,
Okay. You're very
I have
classy. Very classy.
I have colleagues who really go hard against audience. That's not my style. So,
No.
Yeah.
You're refined, very refined comedy. Yes.
Do you have a comedian that you've kind of modeled your own act after, or like
absolutely.
is there somebody that inspires you that, you know, you're like, oh, you know, every time you see him or her, you're like, oh yeah, that's it?
I keep telling people this comedian from Ottawa. His Chinese name is Da Shan. His English name is Mark. He actually does comedy in 100% perfect Mandarin in China. Nobody in Canada know who he is. He was born in Ottawa. Only start start learning Mandarin when he was 19 years old, and he mastered the language. He's a big celebrity in China. So I hope that I can be his version in Canada some point in the future.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
In our last minute, we only have a minute left. Could you give us your tour dates really quickly, and in particular, the one you're doing in Nigawak, just not far from Miramichi, as a wrap up to our wonderful show?
So the 17th, I'll be at the pub 981, and the 16th I'll be at the
great place.
And then 16th, I'll be at the Four Rivers Brewery. That's in Bathurst. And the 14th, I'll be in Bathurst, sorry. The 14th, I'll be at the new Maritime Brewery. That's Miramichi.
Yes,
okay,
awesome.
Maritime Brewery in Miramichi. So what date is that one again, right in our own city? December?
Tuesday, December 14th.
December 14th at Maritime Brewery in Miramichi. Well, we're going to spread the word, and you have a Facebook page too, do you?
Yeah, so everyone can find me under the Hitchhiking Comedian.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'm really hoping we all need to live, Veronique and Audrey and I. It would be awesome to be able to attend one of your shows, especially right in our own city. Thank you for being a wonderful guest and filling us all in on the life of a comedian. Safe travels to you, Feng Zhou, and we hope to see you in town. Don't go away,
Thank you very
anybody. We're
much.
going to come back with another guest. Welcome back to Have a Chat. If you're just joining us, again, I'm your host for today's show, Judy Losier, joined by my beautiful co-hosts, Nick Garcino and Audrey Lynch. And we're really happy to have a special guest with us today. I mean, they're all special, but we have one that's kind of a local celebrity now. And that's Kathy Hennessy joining us. Kathy, before you tell us all about your latest adventure with your family, tell us a little bit about you personally.
Well, I'm not really a celebrity. I've been born up here in the Miramichi, like outside of Miramichi, but have lived in Ontario for a number of years, and then out in Regina. And I was, I guess I did banking first, and then I went back to school and took nursing, and just retired from nursing after 35 odd years. Been great.
Yeah. And I remember you being very active in our community.
Yes, always. Not as active now, however.
That's maybe a good thing. Yes.
Have a little break. So, so the really exciting part, and we do think you're a celebrity because we've now seen you on national TV. So, tell us a little bit about what that experience was like for you, being on Family Feud Canada, and like, oh my goodness, how exciting!
Mm-hmm. It was really, 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 really exciting, and I've always been a fan of game shows, especially Family Feud, even the one that Steve Harvey hosts in US. And so and April, my daughter, I have 4 kids, and April's my oldest daughter, and her 3 kids. We have game nights. We've always had game nights, but particularly April and her kids, now that they're older, we have game nights. We're very competitive. And so 3 years ago when Family Feud first started, I did submit, to go on, and we did get a call, but in the end, we couldn't go for an audition. So I submitted again last year in January.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
And you got on.
Yes, it's a fairly long process, but we did.
Can you tell us a little bit in a nutshell, Kathy, what the process was to be on the Family Feud besides you submitting an application?
Well, actually, you have to submit a video. So normally you would submit a video with your team, and then the producer and the team at Family Feud, they take a look and decide if they want an audition from you and your family. But I just took it upon myself and did a little video, about our family, and sent it in. Well, I asked April and her kids if I sent it in, would they be interested in going on Family Feud? And they said, well, yes, absolutely. So
yes.
We did. Yes. So we got a call when I sent that in. As I said, it was about January. And then it is a very long process, actually, because then they contact you by email and ask you to do an audition. And this past, because of COVID, of course, you have to do it by Zoom, whereas before you would have had to audition in person. But in the last 2 years, it's been, by Zoom. So we did the first one, and then we made it past that step, and then we had to do a second one. Then we had to play against another team, sort of, a little trial run, just to see how things would go. Yeah. So then after that, so it was probably like the first audition was probably maybe March, or April.
Yeah.
And then we had another video call in, I think, June. And then we did another one in July, telling us that, maybe it looked good, we might make it. But we didn't actually know until August that we, there's a great possibility that we'd be going. We couldn't tell anybody. But, and only about 2 weeks before was it all confirmed. And then, of course, you have all of the testing and all of that. They do actually book your hotel and they book your flight and all of that. And they do arrange, they gave us 2 sets of dates when we could go. And we could only make one because, April is her and her husband are big moose hunters, and she happened to have her moose license. So we said, we can't go that weekend. We'll have to go.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Can't be on national television on moose hunting.
Yeah.
That's such a Miramichi
huge.
Yeah.
It is.
So Kathy, then it was your daughter April that was on the show with you, of course, and your 3 grandchildren, April's 2 sons and a daughter, right?
Yes. So it was April, and then Jordan and Josh and Caitlin, the 3 grandchildren.
Beautiful. A beautiful family thing to do. Highly exciting. One of the highlights of your lives, no doubt. So I want to know, we have to know now in the Miramichi, how it all works. So from the moment you got that call, it was obviously extremely exciting, but walk us through from the time you got off of the plane and into the studio. And then what happened?
Okay, well, we got off the plane, we made our way down to the hotel. And then when we got there, we did have, we were emailing back and forth. And so we did have an idea of what we needed to do. So the first day we had free time. We didn't have to, we were only there for 4 days. So on Monday morning, they already told us we had to go first for our, another COVID test, like just the quick antigen test. So we did that. And then we had to go over to the studio. And it was like, a 2-minute walk to the studio. And we got to the studio, and it was, they get us in, they get us all upstairs. But really, you are in a separate kind of, they divide all the teams up into various rooms. And you're not really allowed to speak to the other people, the other teams. And so I think we had maybe 4 maybe other teams there that day. But we would walk past maybe just to go to the washroom or something, and we would see the other teams. And then, so the whole first day, we waited all day at the studio, and we didn't get to go on. Like, we rehearsed, we did several rehearsals, with the producer, and then we had our producer with us, and we ran through all the questions, all the things. We did the practice. But we didn't actually tape our show that day, but we did get to watch, we got approval to watch another team play later on that day, which was really nice to actually be in the studio.
Yes.
And it is so bright and colorful, and everyone is so energetic, and, they keep you, they want you to be very lively, and they tell you all the things. Yep. So the next day, on Tuesday, then we went in, and we knew if we made 3 games, that's the most you can play, is actually, if you win, you can only play three games. And so we knew that we were flying out the next day. So we thought, wow, if we win, this is going to be like a sort of rush today. And we didn't, we went over for, I think, 10 that morning, and we didn't start taping our show until 2:00 that day. And then we won that one. And then, so you go through, if you're familiar with Family Feud, you go through the first, there's four different questions that the teams have. And then the one with, who makes 300 points, then you get to play for fast money.
Right.
And so 2 people on your team get to play for the fast money. And then you go, if you made it, then you play against the next team. And then, same thing happens again. So we had to do, with the second and third show, we were, we had like about 10 minutes between shows to get out and back in
to do it again.
Wow. Crazy.
But it's really, really is so quick and not at the same at all as when you're sitting on the couch watching TV. You know, when I'm here
Yeah,
watching
of course
TV,
not.
it's like, oh, wow, what? You know, why didn't they get that answer? But anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really,
easy
you
for
know,
us couch
the
potatoes.
fast money is, I know. And the fast money is really, really, you know, that is the 20 seconds for the first person and 25 for the second. And so you have, you know, about 4 seconds to get your question out and the answer in 4 seconds in 20. So it's really, really, you know, you don't have a lot of time. You don't have a lot of time to think of what your answer might be.
Right.
But all excited.
Exactly.
Did you
all good.
So leading up to, like, after you had applied and everything, leading up, did you practice at home? Like when you knew you were going, did you practice?
Well, we not too much because we just everyone had to watch. We said, you know, make sure you watch Family Feud and see what's going on, and you know, so that we can do that. But everyone is so busy working. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of time really to practice for you know Family Feud. Each one sort of did a little. We did get together once when we had to do the Zoom, and we did sort of practice the questions that one time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Well, a big question that I'm dying to know, and I'm sure our viewers would love to know as well. What is the host of the show, Family Feud, Jerry? What's he really like in person, live?
You know, in person, he's actually funnier than he is. He is a comedian, of course, but he's actually nice. I find really a nice guy, very funny, likes to joke. If you make a mistake or you say anything, you know, he will pick up on that and
feed off of it.
If you get embarrassed easy, well, he will. Don't be embarrassed while you're there with him because he will embarrass you. He's really funny.
Really
he's sweet. Guy.
He's really, really cute, and he's so suited for that job with the twinkle in his eyes, quick on his feet, and is very upbeat. And that's obviously what you need in a talk show host to keep it, you know, your audience pumped, your guests going, and he has to be quick. I was proud to tell my boys who graduated, both of them from St. FX, one's at Dow right now, one's at UDM, but they both went to St. FX, as did my husband, as did Jerry D. He's a St. FX graduate and actually played hockey for that school. So I was impressed with that, and just impressed with all of you. Yeah. He went to school in Nova Scotia. So Kathy, are there moments, I mean, we all know when we're on the spot, whether it be just in a small crowd and someone asks you something and you're not prepared for the answer. Did you have you didn't seem to be like thrown off, but was it kind of like the deer in the headlights at any one moment, like, oh my gosh, I cannot think? Or did you have any of those frozen moments, like panic type seconds, trying to think of answers?
The very first question, I didn't do very good on the first game. On the very first question they asked me, it's getting used to the show, you know, and the question and how you'll do it. And the first question they asked me, I was totally embarrassed. And of course, Jerry D picked up on it, you know, and laughed and went on. But it said, I forget how it went, but the question was something like, what do you call someone that's healthy? And I, you know, I couldn't think at all. The word fit did not even come into my mind. And I think I said something like a good body or something. It's like, wow.
Yeah. I loved it. I thought that was so sweet.
Yes, and of course. And he, you know, he picked up on that. And it's like your mom said good body. It's like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So that'll go down in history, you know, is like your first question is like, yeah, well, okay, fine. You know, I can laugh at myself.
That makes us warm up to you. Anyone that doesn't know you watching that show would say she's so fun and cute and did a really great job. So you can't be too hard on yourself when you're on the stage and we're sitting home. We're not judging because we could probably not do anything, most of us, that you did. So that was awesome. Your whole family did a fabulous job, for sure.
And I'm sorry somebody couldn't be on today. but they were all busy. And you know, I will tell you that we went there. When we went, our plan was, you know, we've got this free trip and hotel, and we're in Toronto, and we can go to a nice Italian restaurant. But the big thing we want is that, you know, our expectations were just to get some, you know, win some, maybe not money, but win at least one round is what we were looking for. We didn't want to go there and bomb. That's all.
No,
Right.
you run a mission, competitive streak in you for sure to win.
Yes. Yes. Well, we hope that, but you know, at least we didn't want to get all the questions wrong.
No.
So for those who haven't seen the episode, tell everybody how you did.
Okay, well, the first one, the first episode, we did make 3 episodes. We did win 3. You can't do any more than that. And so we won $800 and some the first night, 10,000 the second night, and 900 and something the third night. So it was just close, just under 12,000. Yes. So we did well, and we weren't very many points away. Yes. So that was a bonus. We got a nice trip.
Kathy, I hope as a grandmother, they said you can have all that money since you did such a good job raising us all.
No, they didn't. They didn't. Everybody had a little plan for their money, so that was fine. Yes.
Well, my quick question is going to be for you
sometime.
Yeah. My quick question for you, of course, with me being in the hair business and the beauty business, I'm sure the viewers also want to know. Now, did you have to do your hair and makeup, and did you get to pick your own wardrobe?
Well, I'll start with the wardrobe. You have to tell them ahead of time what you're planning to wear so that the colors don't clash with the set, or if it's too much, you know, you can't wear polka dots, let's say, or a lot of stripes because of the film. So we did have to let them know ahead of time sort of the colors we were wearing, and, you know, if they were mostly plain. The boys' shirts, they wore black, I think, the second and third time. We didn't have time to change. But the first one, they had a jacket over their shirt that was a little flashy. So, yes, they do want to know, and they don't want the 2 teams to be wearing the same color, let's say.
You guys did an awesome job. We are out of time. Thank you so much, Kathy, and extend to all of your family how proud we were of all of you. And you did a wonderful job. Thanks for being our guest today, and for all of our viewers for tuning in to have a chat. We shall see you again next week, everybody.